EU leaders are set to meet this week in Brussels to discuss, among other topics, the bloc's enlargement. While Ukraine's hopes may take centre stage, Georgia is also seeking progress towards an eventual entry to the coveted club. Surveys show that up to 90% of Georgia's 3.7 million people support EU accession, and the sentiment is hard to hide. Blue and yellow flags are ubiquitous around the capital, Tbilisi. For Georgi Popiashvili, a 40-year-old art director, his country's future clearly lies with Europe and not Russia, its effective ruler for 200 years until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991.
That's probably my dream, to see Georgia as a part of European family. I've been traveling around the world in my life. I've seen many places, and still Europe for me is probably the best place. I feel better in Europe than in the other world, in the other part of the world.
But simple enthusiasm on the streets won't be enough to secure candidate status. While the ruling Georgian Dream Party officially supports EU and NATO membership, its track record on reforms has raised questions over how serious it is. The government's conciliatory stance towards Russia has also irked Brussels. Corneli Kakachia, director of the Georgian Institute of Politics think tank, says the government is fearful of losing power domestically.
Yeah, I think it was, first of all, geopolitical decision based on the threats and influences of Russia potential on the region, and then of course the EU also took into notice the public opinion polls, which is very pro-EU in Georgia. Of course, EU realizes that Georgian government didn't fulfill all these 12 recommendations, but understanding this geopolitical kind of momentum which is there, EU decided to give Georgia this candidate status.
Sandwiched between Russia and Turkey, Georgia has no land border with the EU. It applied for EU membership in March 2022 alongside Ukraine and Moldova. At the time, the EU said Georgia needed to do more to fight corruption, improve the independence of its judiciary, and depolarize its bitterly partisan domestic politics. Although the European Commission officially recommended it for candidate status last month, it made clear that this could be withdrawn if agreed reforms were not delivered. One important sticking point is foreign policy and the government's move to improve ties with Moscow since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Although Moscow and Tbilisi have no formal diplomatic relations, Georgia has declined to impose sanctions on Russia, as the EU and other Western countries have done. Another of the EU's demands is for Georgia to reduce the political influence of wealthy tycoons. But closer ties to Brussels are not everyone's cup of tea. In Gori, in eastern Georgia, this resident is clear in wanting better relations with Russia. Exactly how the EU summit will play out is difficult to predict, and despite EU membership being a no-brainer for many Georgians, becoming the EU's 28th member state is still a distant dream.